We are live. Let me just check. Let me just check my videos. There we go. We are live. Okay. How are you, Coco?
Not bad.
Good.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Can't complain. I'm in
Good.
the land of the living, which is always a plus. I haven't let the market get to me.
That is good.
And how are you?
Carissa loves wants 100x returns.
Excuse me? How
Well,
much?
you know what? I'm glad she said that because you know what? If you don't put it out there, it's not gonna happen. So she put it out there.
All right.
She put it out there.
Sounds awesome.
Where's my chat? Let me add a little music.
So, what's the topics for today?
We're
What are
going
we
to talk
addressing?
about,
What are we looking at going over?
well, we're going to talk about portfolios and then we're going to talk about a couple of other things, especially these tariffs.
Okay. Sounds interesting.
It
I mean,
will.
it's a hot topic.
It's a very hot topic. Sizzling. Now, why is I'm trying to find my.
Let's get those thumbs up,
Yes, get those things.
everyone. Are you putting out the link tonight?
Well, let's see what time. Let's see. I'm trying to find my. No, this. My chat for some reason is not working.
How's your evening going, Carissa? Joyce, welcome. Hi.
Hi, Joyce. Let me see. I'm just, as you know how it is with live, so I'm just.
He's fidgeting in the background there.
Yeah, my chat won't work. Oh, wait a second. Okay, there we go.
Does anyone have any questions before we start? Getting into the weeds?
I don't want to restart, but for some reason I can't post the chats. Or I should say I can't recognize.
Carissa, listen, you're consistent.
We
Let's
are going to
make
make money
some
with crypto.
money with crypto. Yes.
So, believe it or not, if you look at the last bull runs of 2017, 2021, they all happened around September, October, around the third quarter. So right now is the time to just accumulate.
That seems to be the pattern where it lags the first,
Thank you for
second,
the live greetings, SLT.
well, as I was saying, it seems to be the pattern, starting with the first and second parts
Luke
of the
Cage
year.
is in the house.
Hello, people. How y'all doing?
Luke, hi. Long
Hey.
time no hear. How are you?
I'm good, Coco. How are you?
Awesome.
Good.
Now
Good.
the party can actually get started because Luke Cage is in the house.
Sounds great.
Luke Cage is Luke Cage. It looks like you're gonna be a part of season 2 of Daredevil.
About time we get some recognition.
There you go.
Man, I've been in love with that character, with a comic book character, since I was like mid-teens, man.
Really?
First black
Okay,
guy.
Power
Yeah.
Man.
Exactly. Oh, you
You
know
know,
about that.
actually, technically, I guess the first black character was Black Panther.
Yes, Black Panther was before, but Luke Cage he's New York, he's street, he's hood, you know.
Yep,
He speaks
exactly.
slang. So I'm like, yeah, I can dig this guy.
You're right about that.
Yeah, so I ride with that name.
Are you all set, Fastnickel?
Yes. So unfortunately, and maybe it's because I set this up last night, but I can't post any of the comments on the screen like I normally would without restarting, and I don't want to restart. So
you live already. Yeah. Okay.
So just so you know, Luke, I'm gonna basically, as you can see, I have a portfolio showing, and this is supposedly Donald Trump's or his family portfolio.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can zoom.
Hey, Allie Joe Place. So the first thing I'm going to tell anybody is, hello again, Carissa Love, is that if you don't necessarily know what to invest in, you can always look at what the big guys are investing in. That's always a good indicator. But even though I'm looking at what Trump invests in, I'm not a fan of a lot of some of these coins personally. So
Right.
because they're investing in it, that doesn't mean you have to invest.
I agree, but I usually follow BlackRock.
Oh yeah, big money.
Yes.
But
They win all the time.
Wouldn't Trump? Wouldn't he follow BlackRock as well? That's smart money, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been successful time and time again. Everything that they invest in,
yes,
is successful. And why not follow their trend?
Yeah. You mentioned something. Believe it or not, there's some people that actually make a living doing that, following the portfolios and the activities of successful investors like Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett,
there's some people,
yes.
They actually watch everything he dumps, they dump. Everything he buys, they buy.
Exactly.
And, so it works. It's a decent strategy. It works.
It is. It is.
And these are the things that we should mimic also. Mm-hmm. Even though we may not have that type of money to invest in it, but any little bit that you could put into it is better than none.
No, you're absolutely right. And listen to the interesting thing. I had this conversation with somebody, and he's like, I said, hey, Warren Buffett is getting into this. oh man, I just put a little $100, and my little $100 is only going to go up to $125. His $1 million is going to be another $250,000.
But that
I'm
was
like,
still money that you didn't have that you made.
no, there's a bigger issue. That's a definite fact. But the bigger issue is what he gains is exactly what you gain. It's the same percentage growth.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
it dawned on me that dollar value is the mentality of the poor, whereas the rich and wealthy, they talk percentage growth. Like, for example, when you hear about when they're talking about some company, they're talking about 10% growth year over year. They don't say $10 billion, $10 million. They say 10% growth. You know, and the other thing I try to explain to him is, if you could lose your $100. He's saying to lose $1 million. You know, so it's relative. You know, everything is the same thing. Percentage is percentage anywhere you go around the world. You know, so that's the other thing. Yeah, people don't understand that really.
And they let the fear of the market cripple them. The fear of losing their shirts cripple them into not taking action.
Yes. This is why you hear all these people say, don't put into the market what you can't afford to lose.
Exactly.
You know? So, I mean, you could gain, but if you lost everything, are you going to be out of a home, out of a place to stay? You know? Is your car going to get repossessed? And if that's the case, you don't need to get in this game because...
Exactly. And if you can't stomach it, don't bother.
Don't bother. You know, Michael knows my daughter. She trades, and sometimes, you know, she gets in a trade and we talk about it before she gets in. I said, okay, that makes sense. She gets in and it goes against her like 5%. She gets out. Oh, I lost. I'm like, and then she calls me back. Dad, do you see how far it's going? It's going the way I said. I'm like, yeah, but you let fear get to you and you came out prematurely. You know,
exactly.
And what moves the markets, you know, it's fear and greed. Fear and greed are two factors that move the markets, you know, in terms of those people who invest. Those who are not professionals that don't have the stomach for it.
Well, you know, Coco knows that the people who have been taking my classes and the people who have been in my Q&As, I've been teaching them to use the fear and greed as your friend so that you know when to buy and sell.
Yes.
Not let your emotions dictate what you do.
Right.
And honestly, it's easier said than done. You know,
exactly.
When real money's involved. You know, I mean, but you have to really believe in the moves you make. You know,
right.
You know how long I've been ridiculed about XRP? I mean, ridicule. My daughter laughs at me, everything, and I just stay there. I have a young guy. He got into it. He calls me when XRP drops. Man, what happened? What happened? Should I pull out? I'm like, bro, calm down, man. Just relax. These things don't happen overnight. So
they don't. If you're not in it for the long haul, well, this isn't for you.
It isn't. It isn't. And this is something it's not going anywhere.
It isn't.
It's really not going anywhere.
It like, you know, Fastnickel always says, it's a new asset class. It's the digital asset class. And we need to understand that it's not going anywhere.
It's here to stay. It's only going to grow. That's all it's going to do, grow.
And be grateful that you're in at the genesis of it.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. It's very, very new in terms of participants globally. You know, I think I think they're talking about 6, maybe 7% of the world is into crypto now. You know, which is
14%. I think I had a slide. I think it's 14%.
So this is much more recently.
This is probably either 14 or 16%.
Okay,
Hmm.
because when I checked it back, I think it was December. It was up 6-7%.
Okay.
So
So it's
it's
starting to catch on.
every country is getting involved. So people
Hmm.
realize, oh, this is when they talk about the new financial system. This has everything to do with it. You
Yes.
know, everything to do with it. So,
And a lot of it is because of Bitcoin.
hmm
Everyone's, you know, getting it where they can.
yes,
You have the large financial systems, the banks, they're into Bitcoin now. You have portfolios being made just because of Bitcoin in
hmm
that digital asset class.
hmm
So we need to keep our eyes open to the trends of what these big financial institutions are doing, and also the governments around the world
yeah,
where
globally.
they're putting their money.
But so let me ask this question then. Um, you speak highly. You think highly of Bitcoin in the long run?
Um, I don't really
Okay,
think Bitcoin's going anywhere because Bitcoin is what you call the mother of all digital asset coins and tokens.
okay. Well, um,
So, what's your opinion? Because it seems
well,
like you have another opinion, but I believe Bitcoin isn't going anywhere.
so here's my
It
question.
may be
What?
categorized differently later on,
But
somewhere further
what does it
down in the
do?
future. Go
What
ahead.
does it do? What does it do?
Listen, for people, I think it's not even what it does. It's because it was the beginning of digital currency.
Okay, let me ask. Let me ask. I compare. This is my analogy with real world stuff.
Yes.
Bitcoin can be compared to gold,
Mm-hmm.
whereas XRP can be compared to silver. Now, um, what does gold do? Jewelry. End the story. And
Well, you can also use gold for mechanisms where it comes to mechanical things too. It's a conductor.
no, it's not. I've,
It is.
I've checked
It
that out.
actually is.
Well, what is it used in?
I know it's
Well,
used in.
well, wait a minute. Do you
Okay,
mean
go ahead.
so? You mean to tell me, Luke, you don't? Well, I don't hold much Bitcoin personally, but in the long run, the only two cryptos that I intend to own long term are XRP and Bitcoin. That's it.
Hmm. Well, um, what if you found out that the developers of Bitcoin are
Hmm.
behind XRP to make it uh, new and improved
The new and improved version of
of
Bitcoin
Bitcoin, where it really does something. It's not just
sitting there,
yes,
laying dormant.
laying dormant. Like I said, you see gold. Gold is not used. You say it's a conductor. It's not used in
It,
anything
but
because let me contrast that.
okay,
One
I'll
second.
let
One
you
second.
finish. I'll
Okay,
let you
let me
finish.
contrast that with silver.
Okay.
The device that you're using, the device I'm using, that we're communicating, all your viewers are using, they all have silver in it. Okay?
Hmm.
Every single missile that's deployed has silver. Every motherboard, which is the heart of everything electronics, has silver. Every
That's
single
all
missile has.
true. That's all true. But I think the reason they don't use gold is just because it's too expensive.
Well, expensive is one, but it doesn't conduct electricity like silver does.
No,
Right. You see?
you're right
So
there.
so everything that gold can do, silver can do better. Now there's a
But but
gentleman. Mhm.
but we have to look at these too. You say that our smartphones and things like that, they don't use gold as conductors, but they actually do in their circuit boards and in their conductors.
So you trying to tell me there's gold in my
Hmm.
phone?
Yes, my friend. I know you think I'm kind of cuckoo, but you can look it up. It's
I
there.
am. I am. Because I've seen plenty of motherboards. I used to build
Hmm.
computers. If there was gold there, copper, yes.
Copper.
Copper.
They use bits of gold too. I'm
Hmm.
standing firm behind that.
Okay.
Well,
I'm gonna
well,
ask
are
my
you
buddy.
saying this? Are you saying to say that you don't want to have any Bitcoin?
I have no. I have no intentions of holding Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is there to attract, especially the newbies and those who don't know. I think that's what it's for. Because if you talk to anybody, hey, have you ever heard of crypto? You can't use digital asset because only people who are in it know. Have you heard of crypto? The very first word that comes out of their mouths is what?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that it holds value. Now,
Mhm.
there's a gentleman who's highly intelligent, Reggie Middleton. They asked Reggie, and I was watching the video. They asked him. They mentioned, well, Bitcoin could be used as a store of value. His answer is, it's not a store of value. It doesn't have any historical precedence to
Mhm.
be a store of value. In other words, gold has been around forever, and it has a store of value. And
Mhm.
what's the value of gold? Whatever you're willing to spend on it. What's the value of silver? Well, I needed to do this. I needed to make this. I needed to make that. So you see the difference?
Listen, I get you, Luke. I get you, but I'm just saying, gold is used in a lot of the products that we use day to day. Whether you want to believe me or not, I'm telling you,
Well,
it's
Okay.
you and I, you
yeah.
know that you and I are both XRP guys. So,
Yeah, I guess I'm fighting for that, Mike.
so
I think that's what I'm fighting for.
you know that you and I have been with XRP forever.
Forever, man. It has functionality. You talk about moving $1 trillion and it costs you $2 and you get it in 5 seconds anywhere around the world. Bitcoin, you got to go to Starbucks, order your coffee, sit down and have it, have a conference call, and then check to see if the money arrived. after spending $25. So,
Okay, let's redirect this conversation to the portfolio at hand because we're getting way off track here.
yes, okay.
We can come back to this conversation.
Yes. No, I'm just defending my guy, XRP.
Okay.
So this is
Right.
supposedly the Trump family portfolio, and they've got a lot of the stuff that that makes sense. Link, Sui, Solana. I'm not a big Tron guy, but Ondo, Aave, Ethena, SEI, RSR, my new favorite. Actually,
Mine too.
it's an old favorite that I made new again because I owned some RSI. I think back in RSR has been around a long time. I had some RSR. I think it was in 2018, 2019, or 2020, something like that, 4 or 5 years ago. But now I just put back into it again.
Did you buy
RSR.
into Ondo?
I have a little bit of Ondo. I don't
Okay.
but I got a lot of RSR.
It's
Well,
funny. I never. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Luke.
No, I never held RSR, but I have Ondo.
So let me show you a couple of things. So let me see.
Are we still talking about Trump's portfolio?
Well, we're gonna diverse off of that for a second.
Okay. Where are we deviating to?
So we're gonna show you a couple of things. One is so this is an email I sent out a few weeks ago, and I had RSR in the graphic. And the reason why is because of Peter Thiel. He's which is a co-founder of PayPal and an early investor in Facebook. Now, there's actually more stuff going on with him, and it is, let me see if I find it. Okay, so here's a coin. One of the other coins that people sleep on is Quant.
Oh,
Quant
yeah.
can make you.
Yes.
Big time, big time. You know,
I'm behind you 100% on that.
I'm sorry, Pat.
And the price of Quant has dropped.
Oh yes. Let me tell you, I was one. I remember you had another brother on, and he says he's not buying anything that's above 10 cents. And I'm like, okay. I started with XRP at 15. Okay, I can go with that. But then I'm listening to Quant. I'm watching what's going on with Quant in the news, and I got into it, and I just couldn't help it. So I got a few Quant tokens because
you got a few Quant.
Right now, the time. I mean, it's dropped down to $65.
Yeah, that's where it was in September, I believe. Around that, that when I purchased.
Now is the time to buy some Quant.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, and by the way, England is going to ISO 222.
Yes.
I think it's at the end of April,
October,
or the end of May. No. They're going earlier than that.
No, October.
No, I'm telling you. I'll send it to you.
The U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? Let me share something. Let me share this.
I got that from Smoke, by the way, on Twitter.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's the one. He put it up. I'll share that with you. Let me find it.
All right, let me share this for a second.
He is constructiontrader.eth. So he says there's only one reason why you see QNT name here, and that is once the digital pound is created, it will be fully interoperable via Quant Overledger Network. Now, there's only one reason why you see QNT name here, and that is once the digital pound is created, it will be fully interoperable via Quant Overledger Network. Very true. Soon, these QNT tokens are going to become very scarce and expensive, hence why I was mentioning the whole thing about scarcity. Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank, has announced that the digital euro will be ready for October 2025. Now, this was last updated about 6 days ago. Would this be the Quant flip of the switch? You know, I feel as though that there's going to be multiple switches. Some people feel as though there's only one main switch. In reality, there might be, but there might be a lot of other switches. Because if you think about it, you know, ISO 222 mandate November 22nd, 2025. Is this another switch before then? Could very well be. But whatever the case be, we're going to take a look into it. And that brings us to this. Christine Lagarde, like it says here, I'll interpret it from French to English, announces that the launch of the digital euro will take place in October, so we already know that. They will trace every payment. Oh no. They can block purchases. Oh no. Automated taxes. Oh, this is doom and gloom. Without cash, you will be 100% dependent on the ECB. Now, I want you guys to listen to this. We'll jump to another particular person that's from the BIS and what he has to say about this. And if anything, I'm telling you flat out, I think we're so close, everybody, to what I would refer to as the QNT flip of the switch. And yes, it does even include Ripple XRP and Stellar XLM. So you want to stick around for that. Let's go ahead and play this. It's about 2 minutes, and then we'll come back here soon.
On your second point, I tend to share your views. Nature doesn't like vacuum. And we started working on the digital euro way back. Actually, when I started my term 5.5 years ago. And I'm not claiming, you know, parentality on the digital euro, because my colleague Benoit Cœuré had already committed a speech on this matter before I arrived, but I certainly carried on with that project, and subsequently Fabio Panetta on the board and then Piero Cipollone, who has replaced Fabio, have taken the lead together with a very, very good team which is focused on accelerating the pace and hopefully campaigning enough with all the stakeholders, meaning European Parliament, meaning European Council, meaning European Commission, so that we can eventually, not put to bed, but put to reality this digital euro. The deadline for us is going to be October of 25, and we are getting ready for that deadline, but we will not be able to move unless the other parties, the stakeholders, as I call them, Commission, Council and Parliament, actually complete the legislative process, without which we will not be able to move. And I think it is critically important, and it seems to the agnostic or the skeptics, it seems to be more relevant and more of an imperative now than ever before, both on the wholesale and on the retail level, both.
What I'm going to say is going to fit perfectly after what Christine has given us, and in a way it tries to address what Augustin asked at the end of the session, which is, can we think about the functionalities that come from crypto, but in the regulated financial system. So just a little bit of historical background is useful. If we think about the evolution of money, it's always been spurred by developments in the real economic activity itself. So if we start off with commodity money on the left-hand side here on the slide, I guess we can say that the big advance in the institution of money was the advent of money in the form of entries maintained, entries in account ledgers maintained by trusted intermediaries. The central banks are really the best example of an intermediary. And commercial banks are customers of central banks, and central bank just debits one account and credits another account. So this institution has been around for several hundreds of years. But I guess, in the old days, they were actually literally paper ledgers. You had to write, you had to cross out and then write, new entries. Of course, in the 20th century, all of that became digital. But the underlying rationale was exactly the same. So rather than writing with pen and paper, it's just zeros and ones. I guess what Christine has also shown us is that there is an additional element, and this is the element of tokenization. So tokenization has many different aspects, but the best way that I think that I could understand this,
now you notice
is to say it's not only a digital record, so it's not only an account ledger entry, it also combines the rules and logic that governs the transfers.
And tokenization, I want the SEC to rapidly approve the tokenization of bonds and stocks. That will simplify things, make things easier. Some of the tax on BlackRock would never have to vote on a proxy vote anymore, because every owner of record would be notified through a tokenization of equities. And it would save more money for more people. It would bring down the cost of ownership of stock and bonds. So those are the type of financial reforms we need. Right.
Now, let me, just out of curiosity, so I want to bring something up. Wait a second.
Okay, we're waiting with bated breath.
Yeah, and while we're
Yes.
there, Coco, I did confirm the use
Yeah.
of gold and certain electronics.
So shout out to Luke Cage for sharing this post from Smoke. So actually actually we're both right. So what this post is talking about is the Bank of England, just like the US initially was supposed to go live in March, and then they pushed it to July 10th. So according to this, the Bank of London wants to go live in May, but the European Central Bank is planning for October because all of the banks, the mandate is to go live November 25th of this year.
Yes. Confirmed. That is the ECB. It's live later on this year, Q4.
Right.
You're right. But England is figuring, hey, this is solid enough to start implementing.
Yeah.
So they're starting there. And another interesting thing too, this whole thing, I think you might touch on it. This well, I'll let you go because I was just going to mention Hidden Road, and the fact that SWIFT has officially announced their partnership with Ripple.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is huge.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That is huge.
Yes.
Their
it's
numbers,
a game changer.
Oh my gosh, is it a game changer?
Luke, haven't we said XRP gonna make us millionaires?
We've been saying this, man, when it was 15 cents, bro.
Exactly.
So I think we're in the right. We're riding with the right asset. The people who bash it the most, it's interesting. It's the people who love XRP. Who love Bitcoin.
Yes.
They bash it
the Bitcoin maxis.
The maxis. They absolutely. It's interesting.
But we still have a whole group of people that still have no confidence in this digital asset.
That's because
class.
Unfortunately, the mainstream media doesn't want them to.
Mm-hmm.
And let me, I'm glad you brought that up because that's the lead into this video that I really want to share, because people have to realize that this whole tariff is a smokescreen.
Everything in the news is a smoke screen.
It's all a smoke screen, and people need to really. I really feel sorry for those that don't believe in crypto, and I'm thankful for those that do, because the ones that do and that are saving up, they're gonna be okay, because what they're planning to do. So those that know Charles Schwab, who was the CEO of the World Economic Forum, said that by 2030 you'll own nothing and be happy. Yeah. Well, now when you watch this video I'm about to play, you're going to understand why he said that, because what they are doing, especially here in the US, they are trying to bankrupt everybody so that you have nothing and now you're dependent on them.
Universal basic income.
Basic income, and now you have to do what they tell you.
Yes.
Tokenizing everything. You have to earn everything.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with what they're giving you, well, you get deducted 50 points.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to go visit your parents. You're not allowed to go visit your children. You're not allowed to go visit your grandchildren.
Yes. Social credit.
Yes.
That's what they're implementing.
Pay attention to this video because I want to point a few things out to you.
Is selling off U.S. Treasury bonds.
Hey guys, Dan Matheson here with K2 Tax Group. I want to go through just a scenario that we often see.
So China is selling off U.S. Treasury bonds.
Big news.
The nuclear option. That is, selling U.S. Treasuries, U.S. bonds.
Beijing striking back today with a...
Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, because they always talk about the stock market, but the stock market is actually not the driving force. It's the bond market, and this video will help explain it.
125% tariff on all U.S. goods sold in China. This comes after President Trump placed a 145% tariff on Chinese imports.
And what I learned this week is that the most important thing to look at right now is not the stock market, it's the bond market and their interest rates. Now, right now, the yields on what's called the 10-year Treasury are going up. And that's because when countries like China start to sell off U.S. debt, which are their Treasury bonds, it creates a ripple effect that hits everyone, which means to get new investors to buy U.S. debt, interest rates have to go up, not down. So I want to help explain exactly what's going on, because this might actually be part of a strategy not to crash the markets, but to corner China, the same way we cornered the British pound in the 1990s. And once you see it, it's going to explain everything that's happening today and how it's going to affect your 401ks, rising mortgage rates, all the way to the emergency Federal Reserve rate cut. So let me break this all down and explain exactly what's going on, and I'm going to show you what I'm personally doing with my money, so let's get into it. Hi, my name is Andre Jick. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the 401k Hunger Games. I used to have a 401k, now it's a 0k. So this video is about to get insanely complicated really fast, but if you stick with me, I promise it'll make sense. And if you get through it all the way and you understand it, you're a nerd and I appreciate you. So here's what just happened. In early April 2025, something happened to the bond market that usually never happens, which was the sell-off of US Treasuries. By the way, whenever you hear me say treasuries or bonds, they're the same thing. I'm using them interchangeably. Now, the most important one of these treasuries is the 10-year Treasury bond and its interest rate. And the 10-year interest rate, or yield, went way up recently, which is completely the opposite of what we want to happen. And all signs point to China and Japan. Investors believe that right now, foreign countries, especially Japan and China, which are the two biggest holders of US debt, are dumping US Treasury holdings as a way to fight back against President Trump's tariffs. And this isn't just coming out of nowhere. China's been slowly pulling out for years. In fact, by the end of 2024, they were already down to about $760 billion in US debt, which is the lowest level since 2009. And all of this was started by just one move: tariffs. On April 9th, 2025, President Donald Trump hit China with 104% tariffs on all Chinese imports. China then responded immediately with a 50% retaliatory tariff on all US goods. That raised China's total tariff on American imports to 84%. And if you think that's crazy, President Trump came back again and raised the US tariff to 145%. And then China responded with their own 125%. All of this, by the way, happened in just 1 week. So it's no wonder the stock market just can't decide whether it wants to go up or down right now. But here's where it gets interesting. While President Trump raised the tariffs on China, he actually paused or lowered on a bunch of other countries. So now the pressure is on China. And what did China do? They didn't just raise the tariffs. They filed complaints with the WTO. They put restrictions on 18 American companies. They restricted exports of rare earth materials. And the biggest move, they started selling US Treasuries. That last one is the one that makes investors really scared. And that's because when China sells their treasuries, the bond prices fall, and that means our interest rates go up. But first, let me just explain why everyone is freaking out over the bond market and why it's so important. Now, the bond market is so important that it can control interest rates, it can control the central bank, the stock market, and even the president's actions. So let me just first explain how bonds control interest rates and the cost for us to borrow money. See, most people think that it's the central bank, the Federal Reserve, that sets our interest rates. But that's not completely true. The Fed controls short-term rates, like what's called the overnight lending rate between banks and the federal fund interest rate. But long-term rates, like the 10-year Treasury, are controlled by the market, by buyers and sellers. Now, if countries like China are selling bonds, the Fed can't stop that overnight. So what happens then to interest rates when bonds get sold off? Their rates adjust upward. And that's because bond prices and their interest rates move in opposite directions. If the price of a bond drops, the yield goes up. So here's an example. Let's say a bond pays you $50 a year. If that bond was worth $1,000, that's a 5% yield. But if it drops to $900 and you still get $50 a year, you're now earning 5.5%. And that's what we mean when we say yields are going up. That means bond prices are dropping, and they're dropping because someone is selling.
How often do you think about your poop? Now, some people think about their poop a lot, others not so much. Did you know that every time that you...
But now, imagine hundreds of billions of dollars of bonds being sold at the same time by China and by other foreign governments that are watching this play out. That forces US yields even higher, so interest rates go up, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. And this is a big deal because higher yields make it more expensive for the US to borrow money. And with over $30 trillion in national debt, that's not good. And if interest rates get too high too fast, it can break parts of the US economy and force it to deleverage. And bond markets can also force the president to do exactly what he just did, to back off the tariffs for 90 days so we don't break even more parts of the US economy. That's how China is fighting back. It's dumping US treasuries, which forces interest rates upward and breaks part of the US economy. That's why the Fed might have no choice but to drop rates. And this is where I want to share with you a new theory about what's really happening. It involves this guy, Scott Bessent. He's President Trump's Secretary of the Treasury.
So pay attention to this guy, because he's Trump's Secretary of Treasury, but there's no coincidences. So listen to this part.
Now, in the early 1990s, Scott Bessent, along with George Soros, broke the Bank of England. And here's how they did it. Back then, the UK was part of what's called the ERM, the Exchange Rate Mechanism, which was a European agreement to keep currency values relatively stable against the Deutsche Mark.
There are going to be no devaluations, no leaving the ERM. We are absolutely committed to the ERM. That is our policy. It is at the center of our policy. We are going to maintain sterling's parity, and we will do whatever is necessary. And I hope there is no room for any doubt about that at all, that the government is determined to maintain our position.
The UK wanted to keep the pound within a specific price range, and to do that, they had to defend it by raising interest rates or using foreign reserves if needed. But there was a problem. The UK economy was weak, inflation was high, unemployment was going up, and most importantly, interest rates were already way too high for their economy to handle. So Scott Bessent and George Soros realized the UK couldn't keep it up. They believed the pound was overvalued, the UK couldn't defend itself forever, and eventually they'd be forced to make a choice. Either devalue the pound or leave the ERM. So here's what they did. They shorted the British pound. That means they borrowed pounds and sold them, betting that they could buy them back later for a lot cheaper. Some reports say they bought over $10 billion worth of shorts. But they coordinated this with other big institutions who saw the same opportunity. And when Bank of England tried to defend the pound by raising interest rates and buying pounds with their reserves, George Soros and Scott Bessent just kept selling into it. Eventually, the pressure was too much, and on September 16th, 1992, the UK withdrew from the ERM.
A unique day in London's financial markets ended with the Chancellor announcing that the pound was being suspended from the ERM, and that the second of two dramatic interest rate rises during the day was after all cancelled.
Today has been an extremely difficult and turbulent day.
The pound crashed, and that day became known as Black Wednesday. And George Soros made over $1 billion on this trade. And Scott Bessent was the key architect behind how it happened. So the question is, how does all of this relate to China and what's happening right now? And why this all relates is because Scott Bessent is recreating a situation where a country is forced to make one of two very hard decisions. China is forced to choose between weakening their currency or defending the yuan. Now, if China weakens the yuan, that would be good because it would make exports cheaper and help offset the impact of President Trump's tariffs. But it could also trigger a panic inside of China because that would create inflation and investors might rush to move their money out of the country. It could make borrowing a lot more expensive and it could even destabilize China's entire financial system. It's called a flight of capital, which is money leaving that country and being invested into other foreign assets like gold, Bitcoin, and things like that. That's a very hard decision to make. Or there's option number 2, which is what China's choosing to do instead right now. And that is to keep the yuan strong and to defend the value of their currency by selling their US dollar reserves to buy up the yuan. But to get to those dollars, they have to sell US Treasury bonds. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. So from the outside, it looks like China is retaliating against the US, but they're also doing it to keep their own system from falling apart, because they have to. The real question is, how long can China sustain defending its currency before they run out of dollars to support themselves? And China's looking at the US and thinking the exact same thing. How long can the US allow their bond market to be so high and to have this high interest rate before their own economy unwinds, goes into a recession, and they have to refinance $9 trillion worth of debt in 2025 at this super high interest rate? That's why there's a capital flight in the US as well. Money leaving the US stock market because investors are saying, we're just going to wait and see how this all plays out. Which means we're full circle. We're right back to the bond market. That's why yields are spiking, mortgage rates are going up, and why everyone is panicking about the debt again. It's a race against time for both countries.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI. I'm going to
And in that sense, it's not helping anyone. So if this is really Scott Bessent's strategy, he's trying to engineer a situation where China's under so much pressure, every move they make just creates more problems, with the goal that both countries come together to negotiate something more favorable for both of them. So the next big question is, what happens if China keeps selling US Treasuries? And a few things could happen, and none of them are really good. First, US interest rates could go up, making mortgages, credit cards, and of course car loans a lot more expensive. So the Federal Reserve might have to step in and start buying US Treasuries to stabilize the bond market. It's basically quantitative easing all over again, QE 2.0, and we've seen what happens when the Fed prints money. Any day now, we could see the Fed step in to do this. But the worst case scenario is a full-blown financial decoupling, where the US and China stop trusting each other's money completely. And that's how you get two separate economic systems, or two world reserve currencies. Now, we're not there yet, but every move we make from here on out matters a lot. And the good news is that no one knows exactly how this ends, not even the people that are in charge. We are just making it up at this point. But here's what I do know, and here's what I'm doing with my money and how I'm investing. Right now, I'm staying invested. And as crazy as this gets, I'll keep doing.
So he's investing in stocks. You know, he's investing in stocks, but you know, this is why you definitely want to have crypto, gold, silver, something other than just dollar bills. Because if things collapse the way I think they will and the way he's talking, if you're in dollars, you're going to be dealing with hyperinflation.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
So question, so then are you saying that our digital
Rob,
assets can actually...
You got two devices going. I mean, I think you got your desktop and your phone.
Okay, I just muted one.
Okay.
Yeah. So, do you mean then that we can actually use our digital assets for spending?
Yeah, of course. I personally won't. At least
Like
not
very
yet.
soon.
But that's where the environment is leading us to digital currency being used other than the SWIFT system.
Say that again.
They're moving us from the SWIFT system into digital currency for day-to-day living expenses. Whatever you're going to use as currency, it's going to be digital.
Okay.
They're removing the traditional way of purchasing things.
Well, they're just streamlining it and putting it all together. But
it's all going to be digital. It won't be traditional where you're going to have cash in hand and say, well, I'm going to give you a couple of dollars. It's all going to be digital.
I don't
You're
think
probably
that'll
gonna
happen
tap phone.
for another 5 to 10 years.
I think it's going to be sooner than that. Because I've seen some of the mechanisms that they have out there, and it's going to be sooner than that.
Could be.
Everything is moving at a rapid pace at the moment. So for you to assume that it's going to be 5 to 10 years, I think
5 to 10 years before they do away with paper currency.
Oh no, the paper currency is going to be gone sooner than that. Well, we could agree to disagree.
The way it's going to get done is the value
Exactly.
will drop by 25%. Then again, it'll drop by 25%, and we're to the point where you will not have any incentive to use paper.
Exactly. It's going to be
like I said, 5 to 10 years.
Sooner than
5 to 10. 5 years puts us in line with 2030. So
I understand, but it's going to be in effect sooner than that. I understand you're using the 2030 to gauge the timing of it, but it's going to be sooner than that. I'll give you up until 2027. And I'm being kind of generous with that, because if we're going to have the switch turned on sometime in 2025, so why would you assume that they will give you a 5 to 10 year window in opportunity to still be using traditional methods with banking and shopping? Right now, you could go into places and use your hands as your banking.
True.
So you're telling me these things that are already in place won't even make a dent for another 5 years? You're kidding me. It's already here.
No, I'm saying that there will not be cash in 5 years. And listen, if you're right,
there will not be cash. It's not going to be 5 years. We will give it I'll be generous and give you 3.
The beauty of it all is it's a wait and see game.
It's a wait and see.
It is a wait and see game.
You know, I actually think it's their goal to move faster to get rid of the paper currency.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
because they're printing it, Luke, without anything backing it. That's what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah. Which then causes inflation to rise because so many dollars are out there.
Well, before we wrap this up, because we're not going to stay on here long, I just wanted to show you this Anchorage Digital. So this Anchorage Digital is tied to BlackRock, and it's the only U.S. federally chartered digital asset bank. Now, when you go to their website and just check around, one of the things that I was curious about is this. So they're coming out with a wallet, like a lot of places that are coming out wallets that you're going to be able to hold your crypto and everything else. But as I was scrolling along, I happened to see that they are also, so these are a bunch of the supported blockchains, but they are tied to Maple. So the reason I was curious about this is because about 3 weeks ago, I sent out an email to people in my group, and Maple was one of the coins I talked about that you might want to look into. And so Maple Finance is now 11 cents. Maple is $11.54. These are two different coins, but they are both tied to Maple. They're both tied to this company here, Maple.
That's the ticker.
Yeah. So actually, if you go to let me do this. Let me go to Maple. So if you come here,
What exchange can you purchase this on?
I'll show you. So you have Maple and you have Maple Finance. These are two different coins. Actually, what's funny is now Maple Finance, it's got a different icon. So let me just see something. So Maple Finance, you can buy it on COINBASE, but Maple Finance, it still should be, yes, it's still Maple. So you've got Maple Finance.
Answer something for me. Is it Maple MPL?
Yeah, so it's no. So the one I'm looking at is Syrup. SYRUP. That's 13 cents. But then if you go ahead and type in MPL,
that's $13.
That one is $13.
Can you put the one that you're talking about right now? Can you put the ticker symbol in the chat, please?
Sure.
For more clarity.
So there's MPL and there is
Syrup, SYRUP.
Right. So there's Maple and there's Syrup. MPL is currently $13.29, which you can buy it on COINBASE. And Maple Finance, which is Syrup, is 13 cents, and you can buy that one too on COINBASE.
They're
because they're both tied to the same. They're both tied to the same website.
Okay, and this is called a BlackRock derivative.
This is all part of BlackRock. So they're both tied to Maple. So because they're both tied to Maple, I went with the one for 13 cents because I can get a lot more.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Makes a whole lot of sense. This is not financial advice, right?
No, this is not financial advice.
No, not financial advice.
This is good stuff.
So I bought a little bit yesterday. It went down, but you can get some of this.
Can I mention something before you go on?
Of course.
Fastnickel? You mentioned ZBEC.
Oh baby.
Okay, that's why I mentioned it.
Did you see Zebek today?
Over the last 24 hours, I think it's up 30%.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Hold on a second.
We're not going. No, we're shutting this down.
Yes, we're gonna shut it down. But let's go check out Zebek.
Yes. Zebek.
I'm loving
Yes.
Zebek.
I got a good amount too.
Zebek has so much going on.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny? Before you even get into that so much, Zach Rector, he yesterday he's like, oh, ZBC. I don't know what he knows, but I've done some research on this thing, and I've had them since. Let me look back. I've had them since December 4th. I've had it. You know,
got Zebek?
Oh yeah, I have about over 400,000. I've been buying them slowly.
Awesome.
Yeah. So by the time Fastnickel told me about it, I was already in. So I just threw in an additional. Thanks to him, I threw in an additional couple of $100 and got another 213 coins.
Awesome.
So I say put.
There's more news with Zebek. When you look at the players that are tied to Zebek.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm really behind Zebek.
And what you're alluding to is worth repeating, and that is, it's not just hype. You see what these guys are really doing, and apparently you guys have done it, and that's why you see value in this. And as
right.
the screen shows here, the leadership.
JP Morgan, they're tied to all the. These are all banking. They're all tied to banking.
Yeah.
And right now, this coin is less than a penny. These are the small cap coins where you can invest a couple of $100 and make thousands.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
tens of thousands.
And that's where research also comes into play. Like, don't listen to what people are saying, but go take your time, go to the websites, look at what they're doing, and then again do more research on the people that are involved in it.
As a shameless
and the
plug,
institutions that are involved.
Fastnickel plug, and Coco can vouch for this. This is why people enjoy coming to my Q&As, my live, because I do the research for them. Most people don't have the time.
Yeah, and that's.
This is true, but I do my own research. So.
Okay, so let me ask you. I have. I'll wait on this one.
You have what?
No, I was looking at Quant. I got a few of them, and I have some. I have an order, a limit order. When it gets to $60.
Okay.
I don't know if
sell or to buy.
Go down.
You got a limit order to sell or to buy?
To buy.
No, for my grip. That's not how you spell Zebek.
Well, the ticker is ZBCN.
Does anyone have any questions before we start wrapping up and shutting down?
Zebek, yeah, that's it. No questions?
Zebek, let me tell you something. Zebek,
this is to you, Luke.
You see that?
I'm sorry?
And RSR are
Do
both
you-
under a
this is-
penny.
Yeah, and RSR. That's a good one. But
Mhm.
Luke, what's your opinion on Ondo?
I have some Ondo, and what I've done recently, I've started to consolidate. And by the way, there was
Okay.
news today that says that I forgot how many. I think I don't know. They're dropping a few of their coins on their listing. They're gonna start. I think they're starting to trim down all these numbers because we all knew there are thousands of coins, and they're starting to trim them down. And the way they're gonna do it is via these exchanges. You know, the most popular one, of course, is Coinbase, and Coinbase is gonna delist a few of them, and then some more, and the others are gonna follow suit.
Okay.
And I'm gonna look for it right now.
So, are they like concentrating in certain sectors?
I don't know if it's sectors. I think it's more if it's not utility. For example, the Trump coin. There's no utility attached to that. You know.
There's none whatsoever. Right. That's just a political stunt meme coin.
But it made hundreds of millions of dollars for the originator. You know, and yes,
exactly, and that's what its purpose was, and it accomplished what it needed to accomplish. And I don't think it's gonna go any further.
It's doing the exact opposite. It's
plummeting.
Oh yeah, it's down. I think $7 last I checked.
Yeah,
it's pretty low. Pretty low.
And I think those meme coins are like 35% of the Trump portfolio.
Yeah, but
which that isn't terrific. That's not great.
Yeah, but it was strategic on his part.
You know, it's funny because I don't check it, but I didn't realize that Zebeka's up 14%.
Yeah, it actually.
Yeah, this happened today. It was like it's been happening for the last 24 hours.
It actually dropped. It was at like 29% up. So it's normalizing a little bit. So these things are really, really happening.
Yeah.
Listen, these coins that are less than a penny, if I believe in them, I try to have a minimum of 100,000, but that's just me.
I mean, at that price, it only makes sense.
Yeah.
RSR, huh? I like that RSR thing.
So RSR is hold on a second. Let me show you.
Give me a little background on RSR. Like, is there utility functionality to it?
Tell you. Let me tell you, Sonny. Hold on. Let me get my article.
You have about 5 more minutes before we end this live.
Yes, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
RSR.
So this is one. Let's see. So Coinbase is about to add RSR to their listing.
Reserve rights.
No questions from anyone before we start shutting down?
Well, let me ask the questions that people
may want to.
Yes, I was always that student that asks questions that people are afraid to ask.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Now, I'm looking at the various platforms where RSR is being traded. What do you advise? I mean, I'm seeing Binance, Curve, Uniswap, and I can't go KuCoin because they're not available in the U.S.
Do you want to know where to
no
buy
longer
it?
Available in the
Uphold. Yeah, so I
Uphold
bought it on Uphold, and then if you look here, it's so I also have it. I moved it over to one of my wallets.
Phantom. I moved mine over to Phantom.
Oh, you have discussed with your group, Fastnickel, about self custody wallets, correct?
Yeah. I just realized, Luke, you're not part of my WhatsApp team. I need to ask permission, even though I know you probably say yeah. But would you like me to add you?
Yes, please do.
The harassment's gonna be real.
Hey, I know this guy for a few years. I'm used to his harassment. You know him well, I see.
You know what's funny? I almost wanted to look in my phone for Luke Cage.
Ralphie's losing it.
He is.
All right, I'm gonna have to change his name to. You know what? I'm gonna change his name.
Oh, okay. Tell me so I can respond to it. What's the name?
Luke Cage.
Okay. Yeah, do that.
We have 2 minutes to go. Wrap it up, brother. It's the final countdown.
The final countdown. So,
countdown.
The PBs, both of those, RSR and ZBEC, can be found in Uphold.
Yep.
Using Uphold. You can also stake. I've done some staking in Uphold as well.
Mm-hmm.
The timing is great because my daughter just walked in from Tampa.
Oh, she did.
Yeah. It's her birthday next week. She came down here to celebrate.
Nice. Happy birthday.
Yeah, it'd be nice if she stayed up there and celebrated. Okay, this is good. And your group, Fastnickel, you send these out too, right? These recommendations.
Yeah. So I just added you to the group, and so the idea behind the group is just to share. You know what?
It's very interactive.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
For
great.
my grip, I wanted to add for my grip, but I don't know if I have your phone number.
He didn't even come say hi to you. I don't think he saw you. He just saw grass. Yeah.
Well, for my grip, if you could email.
Let me just check something.
Drop your email in the
I have his email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we call it a night, Luke, you got any parting shots?
No, but except good email. Except take these bits of advice seriously because they can turn a few dollars into much more. You know, especially when you get in this early in these things. They increase, say, like RSR, if it goes up to 5 cents, you tend to make some nice gains. So those are good plays. Just follow that advice. Follow the advice that you give. I like it.
Luke, can you see the chat?
Yes, I can.
Can you just say hi in the chat?
I'm trying to, man. But it just seems like it's just a private chat. Me, it's only private chat.
No. I mean, go to your not to this. Go to the actual YouTube chat.
Oh. Why didn't you say so?
Oh.
Okay. Let me look it up. Fastnickel. Why didn't you say that, man?
You know what? I guess I made an assumption.
You know what they say about assume. You know what they say about that. Okay.
I know.
Okay. Okay, here I go. Live chat.
Well, Fastnickel, thank you for having me back again.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, if I did it, I didn't want to get hit with a wrench.
Listen, I know I can be crippling. Settle down.
Okay.
But everyone, don't be afraid to invest in this market right now. This is the best time to invest. The market's down. That means accumulate your wealth. So when it starts to go up and that bull market starts to, go full steam ahead, you're going to reap your
Luke,
reward.
I just made you a moderator.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. So moving forward, if you listen to all the rich guys,
okay, Strack.
all the wealthy people, they say exactly what you say. When things are down, those are your opportunities to snatch them up. Just a bit of news. The same guy, Warren Buffett, he let go a lot of Bank of America stock that he had, and he's accumulating cash. Why is he doing that? Because of exactly which is they're getting ripped up as things go down. And this is how rich people, millionaires think. So let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah, don't be fearful of the market. This is the best time to get in.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Great time
Don't
to get
wait
in,
until the market goes up and then everything's like super expensive and you're like, oh, I wish I should have got in when the market was down. It's down now. Get in.
Now. Yeah. Get in now. Vice. Great presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, hopefully Fastnickel will hold another live next week, and I hope people come with questions or even come and join us. That would be nice.
Yeah. I'm going to invite a couple of people in too.
Don't leave us up here speaking all alone by ourselves because, sometimes we derail and get off topic.
Do and you know what? Honestly, in this thing, if some of you are not familiar with crypto, there really are no dumb questions. They're just things that you don't know. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael, do you want to wrap it up fast, Nickel?
That's it. I hope everyone enjoyed. And, if you got questions, come on over to Learn Crypto 101. And if you're not a part of our crypto investment group, just ask me and I will add you. With that said,
don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and see you next week. Hopefully.
Bye.
Sounds
see you later, my girl Friday.
Bye.
All right.